Beelzeboob, literally the devil, kiss, 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 stabby, coming at you live to recording to talk about the reasons that I have burst out of hell and my shirt. Yes, I have my Western gear on because I'm going to take the bull by the horns. And by horns, of course, I mean boobies, one of Beelzeboob's favorite subjects. But in this case, puppets, there is no joy in Breastville. No. Because games journalists, which have clearly sold their souls to a different part of hell than Beelzeboob's, because where Beelzeboob resides, the road to hell is driven on by the party bus. Yes, not in the case of Kotaku's. Kotaku thinks fun, sexuality, and breasts and the women who have them are relics of the past. And Beelzeboob has a metaphorical bone to pick with this because I am very much in the present. Puppets. Yes, I am so woke, I have nymphsomnia. Nymphsomnia? That was a Freudian slip. Let's dig in for those of you who have been blissfully unaware of what has been going on. At E3, Soulcalibur's objectified women felt like a relic of the past, and it would be very easy for me, puppets, to be absolutely savage towards the writer of this article, but you see, Beelzeboob is wise in the ways of the forced narrative, and an organization like Kotaku does not send just anyone to cover these games. No. They send the reporter to give them the coverage that they want. They socially engineer this coverage so that they send someone in who is almost guaranteed to be offended by the shenanigans that they witness, therefore creating clickbait through hate watching. So I will not attack the de facto writer of this piece because she is a victim here, puppets, too. Yes, she is without choice. She does not understand the Pavlovian conditioning under which she is acting. Yes. Kotaku rang a bell and she drooled at boobs and apparently didn't like it much. In Soulcalibur 6, Ivy Valentine will be as she always was, wrapped in stringy cloth, balloon-breasted, mostly naked. She wields a snake sword that extends into a whip, a dominatrix's weapon that's helped land her in innumerable knockoff porn videos and pin-up images. As one the... They didn't even proofread this narcissistic shit? As one the... For God's sakes, did this not go through an editor? The first mark of amateurishness has shown itself. As one of the Soul series' most recognizable fighters, Ivy has always looked like a caricature of a pubescent boy's preposterously portioned ideal video game lady. All right, sweetheart, points for alliteration, but if you were an experienced journalist, you would not speak for pubescent boys. No. You would have found a pubescent boy to use as a source because that is journalism. I kid. No. See, we need to be balloon-breasted ladies like us because we need the extra buoyancy to rise above this crapola. It is the internet, puppets. There is porn of everything. No matter how innocent, no matter how tawdry, there is porn. You cannot blame a game for what the fandom does with it because the fandom works in mysterious ways. But let's move on to see more of what Titler had to say, shall we? Ivy's over-the-top appearance may have fit in quite well with the boys' club mentality of the late 1990s when she was introduced in the first Soulcalibur. No, sweet pea. In the 1990s, it was the golden age of fighting games. There was no boys' club mentality. It was one of the most female-populated genres in all of gaming. If you watched the last episode of Lady Bits, you would know this. You have a bias, puppet author, you, it is your lens on the proceedings that makes you believe that Ivy Valentine and the other female characters within Soulcalibur are objectified any more than any of the men in these fighting games, where, last time I checked, the entire purpose of the game is for characters to beat the ever-loving piss out of other characters. Using one's body for the enjoyment of others is objectification, puppets. All of fighting, mixed martial arts, boxing, karate, and so on, have an element of objectification. This does not make them inherently bad. Also, just because a female character is sexualized does not mean she is objectified. When you play as Ivy Valentine in the games, you assume her hopes and aspirations as part of her story, as part of the reason it is important to her to find and destroy the evil soul edge. You would think a fan of the game would know this, wouldn't you? But this puppet author has a dark past. Yes, she was not treated well, apparently, by the other fans in her orbit of the game. Let's delve into her tragic backstory, puppets. Here we go. Get your empathy ready. She insists that Bandai Namco has pigeonholed what could be a stellar fighting game for everyone because when she was an over-competitive 12-year-old craving another game to dominate at, the fighter Taki, in a skin-tight red suit and no bra, would land on the ground, breasts jiggling everywhere. Thank you for noticing, Puppet. A moment later, the camera cut to Ivy, who dramatically shimmied her torso before extending her whip. Ivy never shimmies, you. Moving on. It was a sort of girl-on-girl action that to me felt explicitly designed for burgeoning lesbian tendencies. That's not what it says. It says straight boys my age. But you noticed, Lovey. You noticed. Just saying. Nothing wrong with that. Lesbian love is beautiful. Let's move on. As the camera angles change, breasts were the first feature to appear. Sure, I didn't have to participate in everything, but just from seeing the opening scene of this blockbuster fighting game, the moment when the game states its goals, makes its pitch and reels in its audience, I knew that worming my way into the game's culture, battling other players and getting competitive would be harder for me, even though I love the gameplay, the stages, the single-player mode. Unlike group hangs, what's a group hang? Where friends and I played Mario Party, Super Smash Brothers, and even Burnout, Soulcalibur was a struggle to get in on. Boys I played with were significantly less likely to hand me a controller after a loss. Talking about Soulcalibur at school, these players would smirk at me when I'd weigh matchups. In the tyranny of kids, puppets, who uncritically absorb and perpetuate whatever rules or structures they see. I wasn't a part of Soulcalibur's target audience. Years later at a liberal college, I remember following friends into a room where Soulcalibur 4 was being played on a television. I love this game, I said to a group of new faces who didn't believe me. Strange that you love this game, and yet you refer to it as a relic of the past. Perhaps, puppet author, the reason these people at your college didn't believe you is that they are critical thinkers and you seem rather quick to jump on the female contingent of this game. Just saying. Now, I want to address the puppet author's accusation that this game is not for everyone, because there may be a portion of the player base who are, I say this with love, puppets, perverts! Yes, there are some perverts who play Soulcalibur. The same way there are some perverts that play many other types of games featuring both male and female characters alike. Yes, Exhibit A, puppets. Hot Ryu. Unless he has a 10-pack, Poppets, this anatomy is not accurate unless he is also hung like a giant fucking horse. No man's shoulders are that wide unless they are on steroids. No man's forearms have that many muscles. And no man has that many abdominal muscles outside of a Rob Liefeld drawing. So, Poppets, what are we actually complaining about here? The idea that male perverts are somehow not people. And I got a secret for you, Poppets. I come from hell. I deal with every type of degenerate out there. Perverts are people, Poppets. If you are truly going to make a game for everyone, which moi believes is actually impossible, then you must also make a game with perverts in mind. And sorry to break it to you, Sweet Pea, there is plenty of porn on Princess Peach, so your Mario Party friends, we're keeping something from you. Probably with cause. You seem a little judgy. Now, this judgy, so-and-so got the chance to interview the producer of Soulcalibur, Motohiro Okubo. And so she got to pick his brain and perhaps a few other body parts about what he was actually thinking when he made these buoyant, bodacious babes. And he said, of course, I am a man, as well as many of the people on the development team. That's something that we should probably consider if that's the opinion of a female perspective like you in the future. We weren't necessarily going out to try and intentionally make something sexy for the purpose of being sexy. To which this consummate professional says, that's a little difficult to believe. And she talked about another developer that produced this chart, which I actually thought was rather lovely since it showed the diversity of female form in the games. You don't see this in an industry driven by palette swaps and asset reuse. It's rather lovely that they designed each character differently, but no, this is a bad thing too. Visually, we realize that the game has to be exciting for people playing, but also spectators have to be excited as well too. From round to round, if you continue to land these hits, characters' armors break, costumes change, you could be in your underwear by the end of a match. This isn't deliberately sexy. No, it's not. It's a fighting game. Normal psyches do not associate sex with violence. Battle damage has been a thing since the mid-1980s in Battle Armor He-Man. Most of us don't make that into porn. It's interesting you say you don't set out to be sexy, I continued, because Soulcalibur has traditionally had really elaborate breast physics in the game. That doesn't exist for gameplay, of course. I don't even know what that means, Poppets. I think as a result, the characters, end up being sexy. That's not something we can deny necessarily, but in the process of game design, we just really tried to go after what we think would be cool actions, cool movement, strong, powerful movements. That is a kind of byproduct of this pursuit of trying to find what we think is pretty cool. Cool and sexy are such close neighbors that they intertwine. Poppets. When someone seems strong, when someone seems in command, when someone seems, dare I say, powerful, then they seem sexy to most because confidence is powerful. Funny that. And what's one of the things that are associated with aggressive feminine power? Massive mammaries, Poppets, which is why moi has them. You may notice I'm a little outspoken. But what does our consummate professional, totally unbiased reporter think of this? Oh, you probably won't be very surprised. What the designers of Soulcalibur find to be cool often ends up looking a little like fantasy-skinned Playboy centerfolds. Kobu says that Soulcalibur's fighters are reflections of their weapons. One of Soulcalibur's defining features is a fighting game. That's actually true. It's been documented from the beginning. I'm really trying not to make this personal. There's a weapon and there's a character design around it. If it's a massive axe or a sword, naturally it'd be more bulky type of male body. With Ivy, we felt her character with the weapon she wields has a very cold, icy type of feel, which is this very cool beauty we were trying to express in the character. That was how those characters came to be. Cold puppets. Icy. Meaning, you aren't getting any. That seems pretty clear. Look. Don't touch. Much like Beelzeboob, you touch without permission, you get burned, shit for brains. Costume is character. There are reasons she is dressed that way. There is a reason she behaves that way, and they're tragic and a product of abuse. Making that into a Playboy centerfold is disturbed. If this puppet author is really the fan of a series that she claims to be, why does she not know this? Why does Beelzeboob have to come here? Well, other than to look fabulous, isn't that a nice side benefit? Yes, I quite like this outfit. To conclude, this puppet author says, it's common for our games producers to talk around criticisms, attributing one cause for complaint to some cool special feature about the game. It's similarly common for a games producer to backpedal when it's clear they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. That's part of the job, to make the game appeal to everyone. No, puppet author, no. Yet it can't simultaneously be true that Soulcalibur didn't consider a female perspective, didn't set out to be sexy, designed fighters exclusively around weapons, and also doubled down on the breast physics in Soulcalibur 6. There's this thing called gravity, puppet author, that those of us with sizable assets have to contend with. Let me tell you, based on an adult lifetime of living with these things, when I bounce, they bounce triple. It just happens. They are not rocks. They move. Do I wish they didn't move? Some days, I would love to be able to jog a marathon, but no, these are the facts of life. And to say that Soulcalibur didn't consider a female opinion is not true. Other fans of the series, like moi, have opinions that are different from that of the puppet authors. The female opinion is not a monolith. It is not a singular opinion. If you are so distracted by these elements of these powerful, ultra-feminine women, it is fair to ask for a moment of pause, a moment of quiet reflection, to wonder if the reason that this doesn't seem inherently objectifying is that these characters are stimulating the puppet author's loins, and that this is actually what is being responded to, that the Kinsey scale is coming into play here, and that it's really not the game, but the person's reactions to the game that are truly objectifying in this case. And to conclude, laying the stabby smack down. Yeah, puppets, let's rope this doggy. The only relic here is the opinion that women are not allowed to display themselves sexually, that is somehow an inherently shameful act. Yes, these opinions of women are relics of the 1950s and early 1960s, before second wave feminism began the consciousness exercises that made us realize women have orgasms and like sex and sometimes like to be sexy and sometimes like to have other people, men, women, and everything in between and outside that spectrum, think we're sexy as well. Some of us happen to be built like this. Some of us actually do bounce when we jump. And screw you if you don't like it. This is just life. And the afterlife in hell. Thank you, puppets. It's been fun. 'Tis I, Beelzeboob, literally the devil. Kiss, 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 kiss. Stabby.